set the film up.
Will you ask the commissioners for video?
Yes. Yep, waiting for his little screensaver to pop up.
I think it already did.
Oh, it did? Okay, I didn't see it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is Monday, April 12th, 2021, and welcome to the Eden Prairie Planning Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. There's a first course of business here about swearing in a new commission member. We are here at the Planning Commission, physically a few of us and virtually a few of us, so we're kind of spread out. If I could ask all of our commission members that are online to turn on their video so we can see your smiling faces, we'd appreciate that. Some of you have your camera on, some not, so we'd appreciate seeing everybody's face. Julie, would you like to start the swearing in process?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Robert Taylor is joining us this evening as his first meeting as a planning commission member. So as a part of that, we'd like to swear him in as a commissioner. So Robert, if you could raise your hand and repeat after me. I, Robert Taylor.
I, Robert Taylor.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support. The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the state of Minnesota.
And the state of Minnesota.
And faithfully discharge the duties of the Planning Commission.
And faithfully discharge the duties of the Planning Commission.
Of the city of Eden Prairie. In the county of Hennepin.
Of the city of Eden Prairie and the county of Hennepin.
And state of Minnesota.
And state of Minnesota.
To the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
To the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
And on behalf of the rest of the Planning Commission, Commissioner Taylor, welcome.
Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody. I'm looking forward to joining the team.
Great. Julie, I'm just going to pause for a moment. The technician walked out, says we might be having an audio problem through to the network, so I'm just going to maybe wait for him to give me a thumbs up before proceeding.
It's coming through now, I'm not sure. You didn't change anything, did you? Okay. I'm hearing it now. So.
Great, okay. We're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody rise? Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Let's have the approval of the agenda for tonight. Would anybody have any changes to the agenda? Please let me know. If not, I'd take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Higgins,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Meddy. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting we held on Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Anybody have any comments to the Planning Commission meeting minutes?
I will just mention one of them that's more important than the others. The others were a little grammatical or commas or whatever, because I took my time to read all of that, which was lengthy. There's an author mentioned in the minutes of some history of Eden Prairie, and the right name should be Marie Wittenberg, and the first name was not that, so that's what has to be changed, the name from what is there to Marie.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins.
Thank you. Commission members, any other changes? I would like to give a quick shout out to our secretary for handling those comprehensive minutes from 2 weeks ago. Excellent job, thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion for that.
Move to approve, Commissioner Kirk.
Thank you, Commissioner Kirk. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Commissioner
Second from
Gooding.
Commissioner Gooding. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed, say nay. Anybody abstain? Motion passes. Okay, tonight we have one public hearing on the agenda. It's a request to construct a monument sign with 0-foot front yard setback at 8500 Franlow Road. And I believe we have the applicant in front of us. If we could have you make a short presentation if you're so inclined, and we'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Thompson, and I live at 8500 Franlow Road. And we are here to request a variance so that we can place a new sign on our property that will be visible from both the north and the south. The existing property, or a sign right now, has been there for a number of years, and it is actually also on the easement line, which is 17 feet from the curb. Where?
And we do have photos on our screen that she would like to share. Thank you.
So this is what we are proposing to install. And, I think there's some pictures on that flash drive that perhaps are a little bit different.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because we did something a little bit differently, but if you go back, is that the sign? Yes, all right, well, so that's the sign, it's a composite rock. And it is, can I just get that flash drive? Excuse me.
We'll wait till you step up to the microphone so that your voice can be enjoyed by
Sorry,
everybody.
I did have some pictures that actually showed also the neighboring communities. We have two places adjacent, a senior building that was opened about a year ago, and they have a stone and brick sign in front of their place, and we have a townhouse development across from us that also has the same type of stone so that ours would certainly be complementary to what's in the neighborhood. There's really nothing else around us unless you go further down the street. This is actually, that blue thing that you see right there is actually showing you where, if we had if we followed the 10-foot setback from the 17-foot easement, that is where our sign would be, which is on the back side of the berm next to our driveway, which nobody would ever see it. Then, and then the next picture is a picture of the stone across the street from our place. I don't know who moves this.
Which picture are you looking for?
Oh, well, that one is that one at the top, Exhibit C2 is the senior living signage that is next door to us. Then if you go back, I think there's a couple of pictures also back.
This way?
Yeah, well, this is the existing sign, which has been there for a number of years, and also the fact that there have apparently, we've lived there about a little over 2 years, and this sign issue has been going on for about 6 or 7 years, that this has been an issue that nobody has ever kind of come to a conclusion about what they were going to do. But this side is only seen if you're coming from Prairie Center Drive. So if you're coming from the south, no one can see it. Where we're talking about on the berm itself, I think, Julie, I don't know where all these, that shows exactly, that shows the placement from the street on the easement line itself, which I understand, according to the assistant city engineer who came out and met with me last fall, this easement line does not really interfere with anything that the city needs to address as far as any of the, I don't know, electrical or whatever they've got. And certainly there's no problem as far as clearing snow. And that is actually just the side of the berm itself. And that's the back side of the berm from the driveway side. So you can see that there's a raised area that we have to address. And so that's where we would like to put the sign, which is why we are actually requesting this variance, because otherwise nobody's going to see it. Any questions?
I have a question for you, Margaret. This is Commissioner DeSantis. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Commissioner DeSantis. Thank you. Go ahead.
During the winter, when there's an unusual accumulation of snow, there will be a large bank of snow on that curb line. Do you expect that the sign will elevate sufficiently to allow people to see the lettering from the north and the south vantage point?
Yes, because of the fact that the berm is high enough so that even though there has been, this past year, obviously, there was not a great deal of snow accumulation, but the year before there was a lot of snow accumulation, and it does not impede on the height that the berm is from the curb. So I don't believe that's an issue.
All right.
And you said that one of your objectives is to have the sign be legible from both northbound and southbound
Correct.
Mill Road now, as opposed
Yes.
to facing north.
Right.
And you're showing us a single-sided sign, so that means that the sign will be facing the street?
The sign will be facing the street. The letters are big enough so that if you're coming either from the south, I actually have driven up and down to see if you can, we'll be visualizing obviously, but whether you'll be able to see it from both directions, and yes, you can.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Commissioners, any other questions of the applicant at this point in time?
This is Commissioner Marcus.
Sure, go ahead.
Just one quick question. Did you have a signage consultant at all, or did the company you're working with help you decide on the sizing of the sign?
That would be no to both of them. One of the owners in the condominium project originally dealt with the company that is actually doing it, and when I met with him a couple of different times, we decided on the size of the stone itself.
Good. Well, I echo Commissioner DeSantis' concern about snow buildup with just the height of the lettering off the ground as snow drifting gets wind blown in the wintertime. So you just may want to think about that maybe before ordering the lettering on the sign at a certain height above grade. But that shouldn't be much of my concern, but just a word of caution. Commissioners, anybody else for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Julie, would you like to run us through the staff report, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. As stated, the request before you this evening is a variance request. Specifically, the request seeks a 0-foot setback from the property line. Staff has reviewed the information on site and provided with the application and has determined that the request meets the criteria necessary to grant a variance, and those conditions are outlined in your staff report for your reference. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but city staff does support the variance request. As stated, there is a sign out on site right now. It also has a 0-foot setback, and it is a little bit north of the location where the new sign is proposed. There are no records of that sign ever having received a variance or having received a permit, so it really does not provide for a changed condition. In addition, to locate the sign in a location where the variance would not be necessary because the setback could be met, would require the sign to be placed on the back side of that berm and therefore not be visible to delivery vehicles, emergency vehicles, just general visitors as well. So staff is recommending approval of the variance as requested, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Julie. Was there any consideration given by the applicant or by staff to talk about a taller sign, to just literally lift it up vertically above the berm and placing it back further in lieu of the short ground-mounted sign where you'd have to place it forward?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, from a staff perspective, the concern was more about the placement of the sign and the fact that it is within a utility easement, and because the reason that it works in this case is because it is ground mounted essentially without any significant footings, so something that would have height would provide a contrary situation. So that's why we are looking at the design that we're looking at in this case.
That makes sense, yeah, no conflict with excavations. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Commissioner Meddy?
Commissioner Taylor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Taylor.
So just want to make sure, and it might be in the notes as well, the existing sign that's there will be removed once the new sign is put in place, right?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, yes, the new sign will replace the old sign, so there will not be two signs on site. The old sign will be removed.
Thank you.
Commissioner Meddy?
So it sounds like there's two nearby similar projects, but I'm thinking of that one that was recently constructed. I'm not super familiar with the other one, but that one has a monument sign. So just for context, is that one within 10, I assume that one did not have a variance, but is the issue here, given the berm situation and the landscaping. But I guess my other question is, how far is it from the actual curb line of the street? What is that setback?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the new sign would be placed 17 feet from the back of the curb to the location where the sign is at. There's a wider right-of-way than is, I don't want to say typical, but wider than normal in this location. So to the average observer, it will look and feel as if it meets a setback requirement because of that additional right-of-way that exists in that area.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful context to know that that's an unusually large setback, or I'm sorry, right-of-way area. And it's, I imagine that same right-of-way over by that newer complex is probably not as large. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing, so we're going to invite any members of the public that may be here before us this evening physically or virtually, if anybody happens to be online that would like to speak to the commission. We welcome you to approach the podium now and introduce yourself. If you could state your name and address for us.
Hi, my name is Jean Haskins, and I live at 8500 Franlow Road, and I am a homeowner there, representing the majority of the homeowners who are in support of this sign. I think a lot of hard work and thought has gone into it, and I hope that the commissions will strongly consider this.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Haskins.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, forwarded by Commissioner Gooding.
Second.
Second by, was that Commissioner Meddy? Okay, thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody want to abstain? Motion carries. Okay, discussion.
I have only one comment. I went over this morning to take a look at the whole layout of the condo building itself and realized it's an unusual setting there. But I mean, unusual in the sense that it isn't straight away. And there are some maneuvering and some learning that visitors need to take time to figure out. So I think putting the sign in this new location will help in terms of just knowing where to enter the property. I wanted to enter it when I first approached the top of the hill from the new development, and that's not where you can go in at all. There isn't a way in there, but that's where I would have wanted to go in if I could have had a chance. But that's not really the point. The point is, I think this is a good decision from the point of view of where the building sits and where people can see where they need to go.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. Commissioner
I'll just say I think the unique circumstances of the right-of-way in this area and the terrain of the topography of the site, I think warrant a variance in this situation. And I'd also like to say that I think the design of the sign is really nice. I think that natural stone look is going to look very nice and natural. This isn't going to be something kind of too loud or artificial, so I think it's going to look very nice.
Thank you, Commissioner Meddy. Anybody out there in virtual world?
Mr. Chair, I also support it. I believe it is a upgrade to what's there. It's also good for wayfinding.
Mm-hmm.
And given where the present signage is, it is a definite improvement.
Good, good, thank you. I too feel like this, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Who did I hear, Commissioner?
Commissioner Kirk, I was just going to say I support my colleagues' comments. I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Kirk. I too support the findings. I noticed when driving by, like Commissioner Higgins, that there's a hill, of course, as you approach it from the north coming south, and there's already a pinch point at that roadway with two tall wooden retaining walls that already appear to constrict into the right-of-way. There's a lot of mature trees there, which I also think that the root structures are within the right-of-way, so I think that the site utilities are fairly well looked at and cared for with other concerns nearby. So I really don't have an issue with anything close to an encroachment problem with underground utilities. Hearing no more comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the variance request 2021-01 based on information outlined in the staff report dated April 12th, 2021, and findings and conditions of final order number 2021-01.
Thank you, Commissioner Gooding. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner DeSanctis. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Would anyone like to abstain? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. It was approved to be forwarded to the City Council. Okay. Next up is planner's report. Do we happen to have a planner's report this evening?
No, sir.
Okay. Members' reports. Do we have any members' reports? Again, I would just like to welcome our new Commissioner Taylor to the Planning Commission and look forward to your contributions. Thank you. I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Commissioner Higgins moves. Can I have a second?
Second, Commissioner Kirk.
Thank you, Commissioner Kirk. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Perfect.